program is in the house. He's a bass player, lifetime bass player, trombone player.
Many years ago, yeah. But that's where it started.
Carpentry. He does
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff, but we're not going to address the carpentry stuff because he's too busy. So, how
That's
you doing, Joe?
incredibly true.
How is Florida?
Florida's beautiful if you can't tell. Weather's always great here, at least, and it gets a little hot during the summertime, but for the most part, living where we are is pretty much a dream.
All
I
right.
can't deny it, and I'm very happy to be here with my family. I can't believe I made it.
Where in Florida are you?
Sarasota,
Sarasota.
right near St. Armand's Circle and Siesta Key.
Mm-hmm. All righty.
So it's a beautiful place here, and the people are wonderful. And I've been lately finding some folks to jam with. Haven't really done much of that lately, but starting to get back into it a little bit. So who knows?
Yeah.
Just looking to have some fun, getting old, you know, not.
And
I thought we're here to talk about when I was a youngin'.
We're here to talk about your whole story. So, but yes, let's take it back to when you were a youngin', when you were a wee lad.
Yeah, I was, you know, when I started out, luckily enough, I was going to school in Grandview, and they had an incredible music program for all the students, all the way through, starting in 4th grade and ending in, obviously throughout high school.
This was Ohio.
Yes, Grandview, a little Italian village near downtown that has, recently just blown up. It's incredible. My mother still lives there, actually, so I visit, and it's a nice little area, getting nicer and nicer as years pass. But it was really a big deal to start playing these instruments, and they made it exciting. And as a child, getting into playing whichever instrument suited you, they kind of allowed you to work through it, and they made sure that the options were available, and different, all the way down to making sure you could get the right instrument. So that was really the seed that started it all, and continued throughout. I was really thankful and blessed to be successful playing in all of the earliest orchestras and stage bands and marching bands and concert bands and all the different bands growing up. It was something I worked hard for. Yeah, when I played a trombone, and I did pretty well with it. Even suffering back when I started in 5th and 6th grade playing it, having braces and wearing wax on my wires, because that's what you had to do to get through it. Cigarette paper. I used to buy rolling papers to put on my braces when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
So imagine that, going in and ordering a pack of Easy Widers.
All right.
With my parents, of course. But it was an awesome experience because of the instructors, and some of the people that I still know today through Facebook were a part of that as well. So I'm still friends with quite a few folks that were in those bands that remember toting the marching band uniforms and hanging them and going there early and having to do stuff like that. And then being so successful, even going to competitions, and they were so important. I remember so important going to band competitions. If you didn't come away with a 1, it was a failure. They taught us how to practice and practice and practice and work at it. They taught us to be competitive. It was amazing, with each other. And I remember challenging people for parts And, you know, whether I won or lost, there was never any animosity. You just kind of took the results of it. And, you know,
Yeah.
you would have to learn a part, go into a room, play it for Sherry Tolliver or Todd Southern. And, you know, you'd leave and then they'd make a decision on who got first chair, second chair, you know, third chair, fourth chair,
Yeah.
you know, and it was just interesting. Nowadays, I don't know if that stuff happens. I think, you know, the wokeness of folks would probably be upset about it, maybe. But I don't know. But it sure taught me how to, you know, take music and I guess really just kind of bond it with my soul. I still, every day, you know, all day long, it's just beats and melodies and lyrics and different songs.
So
And, you know,
honestly doesn't matter. You're a successful businessman in Florida. Your business has seemingly nothing to do with music, but it has completely colored your life.
well, what
Music.
I do for a living, um, I run my business and I run my life as, you know, I was taught earliest of earlies when I was in the practice pods with a metronome
Yeah.
and, you know, TikToking it. And that's when you learn how to keep your meter. And that's what you do with your life. If you can keep a nice steady beat moving forward and, you know, calmly take on your different, you know, different sections, you know, as far as how you have it arranged, you know, the arrangement's a big part of it too, you know, but you can apply it both, you know, musically and
Yeah.
throughout your normal life. It keeps me grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
it doesn't, in other words, what I'm saying, it doesn't matter that you're not quote unquote doing music full time because it is with you at all the time. It's with you
it
all.
is
Yeah.
absolutely. It really is with me all the time. And I've been that guy that all I wanted to do in my life was make a living playing music.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I ever wanted for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd worked my ass off to try and get it, man, but it's hard. It really is one of the hardest things in the world to do, to be able to, you know, get the right gigs and get in the right bands and learn all the materials so that you can, you know, get the money you need to make that night. You know, it's a trip. It's really hard work. And, you know, I can't tell you how many times I got a call on a Monday, a list of 35 songs, see you Friday.
Yeah.
You know, and you spend that week going there, you may get one rehearsal in, and then you go and just and throw down and do your thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And luckily, as I said, growing up and every experience I've ever been able to take and tap off of, and you know, for every circumstance or situation, you know, I remember a time I was started filling in with a band and went to play this show, and you know, I barely knew the songs, and all of a sudden the drummer, and I'm not naming any names, but he's so drunk he's falling off the drum kit. That's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all these people, you know, he's puking back there, and he knows who he
All
is, but
been
it was funny, you know, and I love him, and he knows I do. But
there. Into the '90s, judging me.
but I mean, but you can't get uptight about it, man. But I remember times where I'm getting ready to go on stage and there's antics and things that aren't going right, and you know, gears breaking down, and you know, the guitar player's off doing what guitar players do. You just never know, and you're waiting and looking at, and then all of a sudden, you know, you get a little frustrated, and then it's all better, you know, and you just go. I don't know. I've always just been really conscientious of the way the show should look. Everything should look a certain way. You know, it's just like in carpentry. I know that I have to leave something the way it's supposed to be when I'm done, and I know what that looks like, so I can just make that happen. It's the same thing with writing and playing music. And
Play music. When you play music, you put in there what needs to be there.
That's right.
What is
And
missing.
it's tough to stage a band. I mean, just to get a band from, hey, how you doing? Nice to know you, to getting in front of, you know, 5 to 5,000 people. Just depends on the situation. You know, it's hard to get a band from 0 to whatever. without, you're always losing members, or there's always somebody that's not up to snuff, or, if you can find a band of 4, 5, 6, 10 people that can work together as an ensemble, get along as as humans, and can respect each other and work hard enough at the same pace to where there's not people falling behind, then, you're lucky. And then that's when the work starts.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole banding issue.
Yeah.
Human interaction.
Yeah.
That cannot be understated. It's like you're learning how to negotiate with
all of it.
Humans. With other
Man,
humans.
I was in a band, and I'm not gonna name names.
What you want to get down, they have what they're want to get down, and can you come to the middle? Can you reach an agreement of can we get along? And it's
there's all kinds of facets to that, Rod. I had a guitar player, and I'm not going to name his name either, but it was funny, and looking back, it's okay. But you'd come into rehearsal with an idea for a song that you may have been practicing, and you play it for him, and he'd look at you straight in the eye and go, "That sucks, and I'm not playing it."
Yeah.
Okay. Offer no explanation, nothing.
No compromise at all.
No. But it was not always that way, because we did do a lot of songwriting, and we did a lot of great songwriting together. But it was just funny. I mean, people, like you said, you're dealing with the human element, trying to create, and going back to, man, you think about all the individual experiences, and I remember, when it started for me, as far as getting out into the Columbus music scene, I was 15 years old, Rod.
Yeah. When did you start playing bass?
I was 14 or 15 years old, and my friend Joe Schwartz and this other girl, Mickey Cooper, said that she could play keyboards, which whatever. And I said, well, I'm going to play bass, because I thought, I like John Taylor of Duran Duran. Wonderful. And I thought he was just kick ass. So I thought that was a good thing. And I picked it up, and I knew that I could read it, because I, knew the bass clef. And, of course, those two just went off on their own, and I just started playing, and I integrated it into my schooling as well. Even when I went to Dublin High School, that was a big, long story. I got to Dublin High School, and the marching band went to band camp, and this guy gave me a hard time. The band director gave me a hard time, and I just said, screw this. And I called my dad to come get me, because I didn't need it. I just felt disrespected by him, and I just didn't deal with it well.
Yeah.
And my dad came and got me, and I went to school the first day, and first class was stage band, which I had signed up for. And Dr. Keller was his name, and he looked at me and said, Mr. Graham, if you're going to be in this band, you have to be in the concert band as well. And I said, well, right here in the handbook, it says that if I'm here as a rhythm section player, I'm good. Yeah. And he couldn't, he couldn't refute that.
I wish York Suburban had that rule.
Yeah.
In the class of '87, York Suburban High School.
Yep.
I'm probably the only working musician in a class of 100 and whatever. I don't know how many class.
Well, but at that time too, I was taking lessons and playing bass, because I was always a lesson taker. And I was taking bass lessons with Ben Pridgeon over at Williams Music in Worthington.
Okay.
And, with the schooling and everything going on there, it just kind of made me wanting to play outside of school all the more intriguing and interesting. So I did find some guys when I was there, and it was the band was Restless Breed, and it was Dave Kogel, Brian Harsh, and Bill Boyle, and it was on the board there at Williams Music. And it's been so long that it's kind of hard to remember, but that was really kind of an interesting band, because it was our first band, and we were all in. I mean, seriously, we were all in. We went and built speakers that we were trying to use for our back line, and we got fake 15s and made this fake back line, and did whatever we could, work together to make these really cool. I mean, they were cool, but they were hard to move around. We didn't think about being 14, 15, 16 years old trying to get these things to the gig, right? None of the things really matter. They look great in the basement while we practiced in front of them, but we did some stuff, and it started, like I said, with Brian Harsh. He was a great guitar player, and he was the elder statesman. He was probably 4 or 5 years older than all of us, so he kind of kept us under his wing, and really introduced us to a lot of people like Matt Jones, and even Geezy came around at that point when we met up.
So when did so what is the story behind your first bass? Is there
Well, it wasn't the first bass. It was the first amp. It was a PVT MT40. I remember the bass perfectly.
Yeah.
It was just one of them little square cubes that I had to put up on a stand, at this show. Yeah. And we had just booked the first show, and I needed a bass, and I went into Coil, and I got this cool little. I bought it, with my own money, because I've always worked, and I've always made my own money, all the way from paper routes to, whatever else.
Same here.
And so I went and I bought it off of Geezy, and I told him about it. And Matt Jones was good friends with Brian, and he was going to be running our sound, and that, I believe, that connection with Geezy got him out there. But this show was crazy.
Your first show was like rock star stuff.
It was unbelievable. We put out a couple flyers. I was going to Dublin High School, and Bill and Dave were going to Worthington High School. We put out a flyer for a show on a Friday night at Tamarack Circle at the Party House. And man, we were upstairs, second floor, and it was packed with people. And you could look out the window, and the circle was packed with kids, hundreds of kids from both of our high schools. And it was just, I'll never forget, looking out and seeing, like, couldn't believe how many people were there.
Mm-hmm.
And
how long did you guys practice for this gig?
Oh, months.
All right.
Months.
What was in? It was a lot of covers.
It was all covers.
Okay, so
it was all covers. We did some pretty obscure stuff. We would do like Mob Rules, and we did some Electric Eye, and some really cool old covers. Back in the day, we ended up, it was just a straight up kind of heavy metal deal. And that kind of evolved. We got another guitar player, because, it's never really good enough. So we got this guy named Doug Miller, and he was a good guitar player. And then it kind of got fuzzy for a minute, and it kind of transitioned over to another situation. I was at school, and I met this guy, Mike Tunn, and there was a Mike guy too. There was two Mikes. We called Mike Tunn Rover. And then, we got Scott Deem to play guitar with us. And that was that band was starting to move somewhere at that point. Brian had gone off, and he was starting to play with other folks, and he ended up with Ronald Cole, which was great for him, because he was perfect for that band. And then, we got everything moving along, and we were just about there. Scott was a great guitar player, and anybody who knew him and can remember this back in the day would know that, this guy was the salt of the earth, and I loved him with all my heart. And he was suddenly killed, unfortunately, and tragically taken from us. And I think I was 15, maybe just turned 16 when that happened, and we had been playing, and we were getting ready to go, and it was pure tragedy. It just kind of struck us all down. The whole school was affected by it. It was just a big deal.
How did he die?
We had a party at my house, and it was one of those things, man. And I know that everybody's been through this, but this was in the 80s. And my dad would let us come to the house, and he would take everybody's keys, and nobody would go anywhere. We would just go and we would have our fun, and he'd keep us in the house. Well, Scott didn't drink or do anything like that. And everybody was down. We were all asleep, and he decided for whatever reason to leave and get into this car with this guy named Lee Fisher, who had been drinking all night. Not at my party, thankfully. Thankfully, he was nowhere near my place. And for whatever reason, Scott got in the car with him to take this guy home. Mark Daly, I believe his name was. And they were traveling around 270 at a very high rate of speed. I believe they said about 130 miles an hour, and went over the bridge abutment, and he hit one of the ties, and that took him out instantly.
Both of them?
No, the driver lived. Went to prison for it. I believe he did 10 years over it. I actually ran into him at a concert once. Probably been a while now. And, I had a lot of disdain for that guy, we'll just say, for many years.
Yeah.
And I ran into him one night, and he had enough sack to come up and talk to me. And he explained that, he's lived with it ever since the day it ever happened, and that he was sorry, and he really repented, to where, you got to look at the Christian manner of it all, and pass on the forgiveness where you can, because it's really hurt him. It took his life, and, and he took Scott's, which I don't know, what's fair in that situation? Nothing's fair. Life isn't fair. Yeah. Death isn't fair.
You make the best of what you have.
Yes, you do.
I had a cousin who was hit by a drunk driver.
Same deal, totally uncontrollable.
10 years old. He Suzuki violin player. Smart, creative, could play violin. When I say Suzuki, it's like there's no music anywhere. He was just going to town.
Right.
So
the prodigies.
I saw him in August, and like a month later, he was gone.
Yeah. Well,
I understand.
we're going to keep talking, and unfortunately, one of my I don't even know what it is, but a big
Restless Breed.
Well, Restless Breed. At that point, it just kind of changed for me. Okay. And we got Mike Allry, who was he's a great guy, and I love him still to this day. We're good buddies, and he's around, and he's a great player. But I don't know, for whatever reason, it just never wore on me. I never took to it. I was just too emotional about the loss, and I couldn't even accept it. It was weird, and this has been years of thinking about it.
Yeah.
And years of thinking about it, and looking back in retrospect, it just, I had an opportunity to move on, and I took it. It didn't go over well with any of them, and they were pretty upset with me, and I understand why, and apologize, but I was just a kid, man, and I didn't know anything really. I just wanted to play music. I wanted to be in the best band I could. I wanted to, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I put my blinders on, and I made a decision to join Wycked, which I'm telling you what, win, lose, or draw, that was a great decision I made. Because it was it was a great, talented band. We did a lot, and I appreciate all those guys, even to this day, Jesse and Chili, and even Gordy, back in the day. Gordy and I
was it original, or was it covers? And
that was it. We played all of the hit covers, all the way from Anthrax, Metallica, from the garage days. We did I Am the Man. We did some really great. We did Slayer, Sound of Heaven. We did. Man, I'm telling you what, we did. Oh gosh darn. I can't remember, but we did Slayer songs. We did DRI.
Mhm.
We did. Everything was cool as far as what we were doing, and at the same time, we were writing really good songs. And we did some recording. Back in the day. Luckily enough, we had the recording workshop, so we got to go down there and do a lot of recording. We did some recording of music.
What is a recording workshop?
The Chillicothe recording workshop has been a recording engineer school that's been around since the 70s, maybe even before. I know that it's a fixture down there in the hills of Chillicothe, and I would say the majority of the sound engineers, recording engineers that are in Columbus today were trained there.
Okay.
Bar none, all the way from Joe Veers to Danny Boyd. Two of the best.
So people who are nationwide, if my age, if they're not from Ohio, that ad used to be in a lot of our magazines
Mm-hmm.
back when we were kids.
And I'm telling you, it was 2 or 3 studios built in the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
And you would go there, you have to go up the hill, and they were great. And you'd go in and you got the full studio experience. If you went in and worked with the student engineers, they would give you whole songs recording from start to finish through, tracking to mixing, one song at a time.
Yeah.
Joe Veers was one of them that we worked with. Joe Veers when I was in Wycked at the recording workshop, and now he's just a big, I can't remember. I'm sorry, Joe. I can't remember the name of your studio, but somebody's going to roll that out for everybody. It's just they've changed so many times I just can't remember. But Joe's the badass. He's got the baddest studio in town right now, as far as I know. And you can fight me on it if you want, because I love him.
All right.
But Wycked was, we did all kinds of crazy stuff. I remember a time when we went to Lima, and we had a 3-day gig in Lima, and I can't remember even the name of the daggone bar.
Okay.
But we thought it was going to be a good idea to camp instead of get a hotel room. So we took the money that we were going to get a hotel room, and we bought campsites and went to camp for the weekend. And we went and played and got all drunk at the show. And we got back to the campsite, and it was dark and nobody could see anything. And all of a sudden, tents are on fire, lanterns are flying across the.
All right.
Oh my God, yeah, it was unbelievable. Wycked was a group of guys that we attracted people together. When we were together, people wanted to come see us play.
Yeah.
It was just the fact that Jesse as a drummer and holding it down. I mean, he could do anything Lombardo did. I mean, anything.
Okay.
And then Mike Chili Dog, huh?
For those who don't know, Dave Lombardo was Slayer's drummer.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know that, then you don't got any business listening to what we're talking about. Go on to the kitty table. But
not a cool club.
Right. And then Mike Chili, he's just a great guy that that all he knows how to do is play guitar from the heart, and his soul. And he would bend notes that people would ask him about, and he just look at you and say, I don't know, I just kind of bent it up there. And I'm talking some of the coolest. Listen to some more of that Wycked if you get a chance. He throws some guitar solos in there that are mind-numbing, that you just don't know how one man could do it. And he played on this Vantage guitar. This is probably $150 guitar, and I remember that he had this Vantage guitar that he put EMGs in that sucker and scalloped the neck himself.
That's nice.
And that thing played like a dream. He played that thing forever. and he built it himself. You know, I mean, that's Chili Dog. He's a cabinet maker, always has been, and you know, and you can even talk about Gordy, and I'm gonna be nice about Gordy because you know there are reasons that I might not want to be, but we're gonna put those behind us today. He was polarizing. People would because he had, you know, the long hair, and he'd wear the fuck off t-shirt, and he was you know, he would carry a bottle of Jack Daniels in one hand, and you know, he had real attitude, and people, you know, didn't know really how to take him in a lot of ways, you know. And honestly, when you look back on it, when I look back on it, you know, the music that we made together, his voice fits it perfectly. You know, I don't think I could ever think about anybody else's voice on there. You know, we did go through a point in time where we got, you know, John Schaub in there, and, you know, that changed it up a lot. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But, you know, when it comes to Gordy, he was a hustler. And he was a smile and a handshake, and he would book gigs, and he would get us going. Man, I remember, I'm gonna have to change venues now. I remember, are you still there?
I am.
Okay. So many times that Gordy, so many stories, but you know, we were tight, and you know, if we had just stayed the course, I think we would have done something great. But you know what? We didn't.
Yeah.
You know, we just didn't, for whatever reason. It didn't go like that.
Okay.
So,
is any of those guys still around doing stuff?
Say what now?
Are any of those guys around still doing stuff?
Sporadically, you know. I think Mike, he plays with his brother. I mean, that was kind of the big deal. You know, it was a real family affair.
Yeah.
We were all like family. You know, we would get together every Christmas, and we would jam. We would get together Come on, buddy. Go watch your shows. Okay. All right. You're a good boy.
So,
but my son is acting up on me now. But that's okay. Alex, say hi to everybody.
Hey, buddy. Now he's bashful.
Yeah, now he's bashful. But you know, the band changed for whatever reason, and I kind of know the reasons, but there's no need to, you know, spill beans on anything. But when we got John, we really had high hopes, and we even went in and had him re-sing the vocal tracks for all those songs that you listened to, and it never was the same. And they got into a different, you know, groove of music, and I was in a different kind of, you know, and I'm sure I was intolerable. I know that was kind of the heart of my, you know, when I was drinking a lot and shouldn't have been, doing a lot of things I probably should have never done. But, you know, it just kind of came to a separation where it was just time to move on. You know, they were doing their thing, and Motley got in the band, and I love him like a brother, and he played bass with them, and they went to Dallas, and seemed like they had a pretty decent time of it down there, and came back when it was all done. And Motley actually even stayed there and got married, and he's still down there running around with a green beard playing for Little Green Men.
All right.
Yeah, they went down to Dallas. They all came back, but you know, Motley stayed.
Motley got
married. Yeah.
Who was that?
He was the bass player after I departed.
Okay.
So, but we're all, again, you know, still brothers in arms. I would do anything for him I could, you know. And
what years are we talking about?
Well, you saw that video, the Frozen Death video was in '87.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that went down in about 89, 90, something like that. And right after Wycked, and I believe it's about 80, 89. That's when I started with the Struttin Sammi guys, which, that band, I don't know if you did take a look at that Conneaut show.
Yeah, I couldn't find them.
Really?
Yeah. You said something like a Struttin Sammy's at Dr. Feelgood's or whatever.
All you got to do is search Struttin Sammi. But it comes up. At least it does on mine. But I'll make sure that you get those links.
Okay.
That band was great. It was the band right after Wycked, and I was I was 21 years old. I was a young guy playing with older guys, which I always had. We had we had the Great Pumpkin, which if anybody knows Brad Taylor, we all know the Crustacean Migration and PET. And Randy Goen, Jim Trunzo, and we had a slew of different drummers. It was an interesting thing. We also lived in a house, and I didn't even really, I kind of am remiss by not mentioning the Wycked house when we were talking about Wycked, because let me tell you something.
You guys all lived together.
We all lived together, and we all, that was where we did a lot of our work, and that's where we wrote all our songs and got good. We would and have the biggest parties you can imagine at this Wycked house, and it's still fairly infamous with the people who remember it anyway. Yeah. But after all that was said and done, kind of was, went on and went on. Once the house was gone, we went on and did what we did. By the time Wycked was over with, I remember this one cat, gosh damn, I can't remember his name for sure. I might remember it going on, but he got jumped one night over there on campus.
Okay.
And he went, and they took him down to the police precinct.
Yeah.
And they were trying to question him about who jumped him. And they actually pulled a dossier out of all of us.
Yeah.
And they considered this Wycked thing as a street gang. They had files on all of us, he said. Haji was the guy's name.
All
yeah.
Right.
I mean, when Wycked played, like at Neely B's, not Neely B's, but at Apollo, I mean, we would have people with big yellow signs protesting us because we were evil, and we weren't. We was just kids playing heavy metal. But I remember throwing euros at them. Louis burgers, what we called them. You get them $1 a piece right there. I remember a guy, I can't remember which one it was, but somebody ran up and stole the sign. This preacher guy is chasing one of our peeps up the road, up High Street, trying to get his sign back. Just insanity. They would have to drop mace balls to get people to go home.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
who's doing this?
Our people in Wycked. When I was in Wycked,
in other words, they were doing it to your people?
No. They were protesting our band, and they were they were Bible thumpers protesting us for what we did because our name was Wycked.
Yeah.
And we would stand. They would come and they would throw euros at them, and just cover them with food. And then the one guy came and stole his sign and ran it up High Street as fast as he could. The guy's chasing him. Just crazy stuff went on down there. Mean Mr. Mustards. That was an unbelievable situation. And they had a Wicked Wednesday at Mean Mr. Mustards, and they spelled it like we spelled ours, and boy, we were mad about it.
All right.
Because we thought that they were using our name, and I can see our old point, but now that I'm looking back at it as an old man, I'm pretty flattered that they named a night after us. Mm-hmm. We played all the big shows, the QFM 96 record label showcases. We played the Parties from Hell, Old Irish, and Ferrante, and all you guys out there that I love, and I could go name everybody. Those are the sound engineers. I got Michael Jordan, Michelle Jordan, the Jordan Sound Company. I worked with them when I was at the Alrosa when I was a kid, lugging those big bass bins in and out of there after every show, and going from the Alrosa over to East Dallas, and doing.
Did it have its own sound system?
Back in the day, it was Mike Jordan's sound system, and he would bring it in for the weekends, and then he did the Battle of the Bands out at East Dallas.
Okay.
So we had to pack out, take it over there, do the Battle of the Bands at East Dallas on the east side, and then take it and pack it back into the Alrosa for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, huge, big scoops. He made them himself. Mike's a genius. If you ever get a chance to talk to Mike Jordan, you know, put your thinking cap on. He'll put you through it. It's a good dude. But
all right. So now, how did that lead into Saddleback Shark?
Well, Struttin Sammi
Yeah.
was a band that I played with for, you know, a while, and it went through a different couple incarnations. And my favorite, and not to disrespect anybody else that was in it, but when it was Jim Trunzo, Mike Strikes on drums, Randy Goen, and the Great Pumpkin, the infamous Great Pumpkin, Brad Taylor.
Everybody needs a moniker like that.
Do you know why we called him the Great Pumpkin?
I don't. Tell me.
Okay. The reason he is the Great Pumpkin is because he was a supplier of some kind.
All right.
To an extent. And if you called him, a lot of times he would not reply, and he would say that he's in the patch, and he would never show up because he's the Great Pumpkin. And you know, he had big fluffy red hair, and he would wear Converse, Chuck Taylors. And he'd be in Chuck Taylors. We were in this house. We'd be on the porch at 5 a.m. after partying all night. He'd have a pistol in his hand, a bottle of Jack Daniels, and his tidy whities. Oh my God! I mean, the people did not screw with us. You know, we were living in this house, and you know, we did anything we wanted to, and nobody ever come around us because we were the crazy white boys in the hood. Nobody messed with us, and it was good because we didn't want messed with.
So
Huh?
that band, was that original or cover or what?
We did some covers, and we did write a lot of originals. You know, we ended up doing a record of sorts at Sasapa Studios, which JD Blackfoot, and he was the owner of that, and he's friends with Uncle George, and Uncle George is Randy's uncle, and you know, again, the whole family thing getting involved with how the stuff flows, you know. So we went in there and did a bunch of recording, and it, just to say the least, it was at the height of my we'll just say the partying and drinking more than anything. And I was working at Guitar Center about 10 years later after this, and Randy and Jim show up with this CD. And he said, "Hey man," because Sasapa went under, and I'm not going to get into that, but Sasapa stopped, and you know, our recording session stopped with it. And I didn't really know anything and didn't really care, and I couldn't even remember if it was, because bottom line is he showed up with this CD, and I didn't remember even one session going in and recording that sucker. Not one. I recorded a whole record and don't remember going to the studio and I knew it was mine. I knew it were my parts. I knew it was my, but I didn't remember. You know, luckily enough for me, that just, you know, it didn't kill me anyway, but I didn't remember. And later, that was kind of when I found that out, was when, get out of there. Come on, man. Well, you want the screwdriver? Is that what you want? Here. My kid likes screwdrivers, and he likes to put things together and take things apart. He's just like me.
He's an engineer.
But, yeah. So, anyway, where was I again? I'm sorry.
You couldn't remember the recording.
Oh, yeah. See, I told you. Perfect example. I couldn't remember even recording that whole daggone record, and he brought it to me. So that gives you an idea of what we were doing back in the day. It was just, balls to the wall, band house. We had great other bands that were around us, like Jade and so many others, Merv and got the point. Yeah, gosh darn, you can't. What's that?
That when he was in the Point?
The Point.
Yeah.
Point was a great band, and always will be a Columbus legend, legendary band. So many. So, I mean, you got Willie Phoenix. Everybody loves Willie Phoenix.
I love Willie.
And Alexander. Put that away right now. I'm busy, and you're trying to pull something on me. But just great players all along. But Struttin Sammi, it was kind of weird because all along I didn't really want to be in Columbus anymore.
Yeah.
That was always my intention was always to come here. And in 1990, we were playing a show in Springfield. And I pulled up in a Penske truck, loaded down with all my stuff, and I said, "Hey guys, this is my last gig. I'm heading to Florida. I'm out. I'm gone." And I played the show, and I got in that truck, and I took off and headed south. And I was gone for the better part of 2 years in Jacksonville.
Okay.
So that was a trip in and of itself. And I played with some people here and there, and did end up going back to Columbus after 2 years. And that was when I got back, and I was rode hard and put away wet, we'll just say, after being in Florida for a couple of years doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was living back over off of Sinclair Road in the condominiums there. Everybody knows what the spiral staircases. Everybody remembers those parties. And I got with Mark Young. He was in Sherry Stang.
Okay.
And he and Sherry Stang was a good band. They were more of the poser glamour kind of guys. But still, the thing with Mark Young,
Tommy Janikas wasn't in that one, was he?
No. Tommy went in this. This is before this. We'll get there. Mark Young came to me and said, "Hey, you just got back. We were at the pool. We lived in the same condo complex, and we were at the pool. And he said, 'Hey, man, just come play bass with us, and everything will be cool.'" And I did. And I don't mean to bum anybody out, but I got to throw it. I got to talk about it. It was pretty devastating. That band, we were playing and doing really well. And Chad, he plays, oh goodness, he's playing with Faster Pussycat now. Chad, he was the drummer of it. And then we had Corey, and then we had Donnie Bixler. And we were doing a mixture of covers and originals, because Mark was a really good songwriter. That was why I kind of dug him, he was just a good songwriter. I enjoyed his moxie. He had it going on. That guy was just as cool as the other side of the pillow, old Marky. And and we would have some crazy parties. We were infamous for we had a rehearsal studio, a big, huge warehouse that we turned into a rehearsal studio, and Saddleback Shark rehearsed there, and that's kind of how I got in with those guys. So I'm playing with Sherry Stang, and it was about 90, I would say 95 or 6, and this band wasn't really supposed to do anything, and Chad and Mark and Corey, the guitar player, they decided they were going to go to Nashville and start up down there. And from last I heard, Mark Young's still there, and I hope he's doing great. I really do. I think about him a lot. Especially, I actually went and Googled up the Sherry thing the other day and saw some good old pictures of him, and it reminded me a lot of good times. You know, he and I really had some good times.
Yeah.
But they decided they wanted to go to Nashville, and I had just gotten back from Florida. I was in no mood to do that. And for whatever reason, Donnie didn't want to go either, the piano player, and he was a good guy. You know, for what you would think. You know, he was just quiet and really good piano player. You know, really solid piano player. And it came to about Donnie's girlfriend, Heather, was going to leave. She was best friends with Chad's girlfriend, and they were going to go, which in turn would leave Donnie and Heather broken up. And it was the day they were supposed to leave, or maybe it was the last day of Heather's work, and Donnie showed up at the Ramada Inn and talked her into his car and pulled the murder-suicide on her.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killed her, kill himself. Now imagine being in a band, you know, we were just doing what we were doing, then all of a sudden you're going to 2 funerals in the same day.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing about my story that I can't get away from, you know, and it's, you know, nobody's getting out alive. I'm not trying to
I understand that, but it's like, we also want to hear your real story.
No, that's it.
Not the smooth version. We don't want to hear the smooth version of it.
Nah.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit rockier. I'm leaving out some things, but I just kind of have an idea of what I want people to know and what I don't think people need to, you know. There's still some personal issues that I'm dealing with, you know, that I've had to, you know, keep a lot of stuff. I mean, imagine that. You know, your best buddy, that guy, man, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
You know, I went over to his house and they were about to leave, and he was playing me messages from her saying that she was trying to get back together with him, and he was stalking her the whole time, lying to us. He went and spent 2 weeks waiting on a gun, even had it planned, and was just, you know, completely, you know, aloof of it all until the day he decided to do his thing. Nobody's ever talked about it, you know. It was kind of one of those things that happened, and it was as tragic as it gets. And I remember getting the phone call of that one, and it was like it was horrible, you know. It's just, you would never think something like that would happen. These are people that you spend, you know, hours and hours with in a rehearsal studio, and you, not to mention the good times you have and the traveling and the different shows you do, and the, you know, the experiences that you share, and then you don't even know somebody to that extent. It's pretty it's confusing in a lot of ways, but after you've been through a couple of situations like that, you learn to spot them, and you do what you got to be prepared. You know, I trust and I give people trust, but it's all about, you know, respect. If I feel like you're not going to respect me, I won't give you the time a day. I'm over it. You know, I'm just too old and cantankerous for it anymore. Don't need any drama or any of that.
You and me both. You and me
But
both.
when that went down, like I said, Saddleback Shark and I, we were all jamming in the same rehearsal studio. So they decided to take the band in a much heavier direction. And this is what I was told. I mean, and their original bass player, Carl, really wasn't interested in doing it. So they approached me about joining the band. And it was, I mean, I'd known Drew for years before it. I mean, there were 3 or 4 of us, including Dwight Farmer, Drew, there was Darren Lowenguth, and I. And all 4 of us looked the same. And throughout this daggone, all throughout the scene, we were all getting blamed for everybody, all the other guys' stuff, all the time. And Drew was one of them. but we've always been close amigos, and even to this day, now that he's a pastor, I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Drew was in Saddleback Shark.
He was our front guy.
Okay.
He was the brains, man. That guy was as creative as they get.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Saddleback
absolutely.
Shark. I liked it because it was metally, but it was groovy.
Yeah.
It had some.
Well, see, that's kind of where it went. It went in favor of me. Is that before when you get into the Machine Gun Rain Dance and some of the earlier stuff that they were doing, it was all about the heavy funk and a la Chili Pepper-y versus Victor Wooten. I mean, Carl Gunther is a fabulous player, man. That guy, he would get up and do solos, and he would bring out his stand-up basses, and he would stand on his stand-up basses and do his things, and great player, showman.
Was this the guy who replaced?
Excuse me?
Carl Gunther.
Carl Gunther. He's a mainstay bass player.
Okay. He wasn't the guy
in the Columbus scene back in the day. He was just a great player, as I said, and he was in Saddleback, and he was all about the funk, and that. I mean, I just remember even a disco band he got into, and he was like a pig in shit when he was in this disco band. He was wearing a
here's
he was
what
wearing an afro. Carl was, not me.
Huh?
Carl Gunther.
I know. But you're a bass player.
Yeah.
How are you going to say no to? You cannot disrespect the funk.
No, the funk is the funk. And I learned a lot. I learned a heck of a lot from listening to him. I learned a lot from listening to Carl and being able to go to live. But we were lucky too. We got all the good shows. Stu Ham would come play. And 2 days later, Billy Sheehan's coming to play down at the Newport. And then 2 days later, you guys buy. And then 2 days, I mean, they would all come through and we'd all go see them, man. We would, and those were our guys. He was more of a funky player. And he's in North Carolina right now running a music school at some point. I think Raleigh, but I'm not positive. Maybe Charlotte. I don't know. But he's doing great. Yeah, get a hold of him, man. He'll give you some good stories.
So Saddleback Shark, how many years is that?
Well, we started in '95, and I remember that specifically because the record came out in '96, The Killing System, and we wrote the songs 3 at a time, put them on a boombox so that Drew could write his deal with them. We would go to Music Hall with Doug Edwards, I believe, and record these songs there 3 at a time. Now, Music Hall, you want to talk about a great studio for the years in Columbus. I mean, that place has been there forever, and it went, from you could go and you still, I think, can do 2-inch. I think they got a reel-to-reel that you can still go on to now to this day. They got 8-out machines, and they've kept up, and they got an awesome room. But we would go in and record these songs 3 at a time. So as we wrote them, and it took us a year of pre-production of writing and recording and yelling and screaming and partying and getting drunk again and going out and doing whatever we do and meeting at the Villanova on Sundays. Got to throw it out there. John Homan was the best drummer ever. I got to give that guy the John Homan's the drummer for Saddleback Shark. Rob Johnson, third guitar player, and Drew Collins, Pastor Drew now.
Okay.
Now we did some things. We wrote The Killing System and got it, through and through disc makers, I think it was, and we I think ran about 1,000 of them first, and then those were gone, and then now it's just online, and you can get it everywhere. It's there. I just found it. I ain't ever been paid a dime for it, but it's there.
Yeah. Streaming is it up streamable?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Gil, we're gonna go for round 2 at another point because we're at our hour mark.
All right.
All right. So You're not done yet.
No,
Your story is like 1996 right now.
we're in 96 right
Yeah.
now.
So
And that's,
we are going to have a part 2 to this.
well, good.
Okay.
I'm
So
looking forward to it. And as I said, we're going to get into the Martini Brothers. We'll get into all kinds of different things. The East Side scene.
talking about Tommy.
I was all over the city.
Yes. Yes. That's what I know. That's what I know about you. You're all over the place.
So, man, it's great talking to you again,
Yeah.
and I'm always available.
Yep.
And I believe that the story of Columbus music, as you know, I see it through my eyes, pretty. It's an interesting one, and I hope people come back and hear some more.
It's a model city for what a scene should be like. That's what
Well,
I'm seeing.
it was, and I'm not real familiar with the way it is now, but I know it's still thriving. And
Yes.
I know that once it gets back to normal, they're going to still be able to see 50, 60 bands a night wherever you want to go.
Yep. Yep. Alrighty. So I'll be in touch with you, and
Sounds great, buddy.
in no time we'll have.
All right.
Alrighty.
Have a good one.
Okay. I will see you. See you. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.